Hey guys! Today I really need to make a video because it's been a really shitty day. You know, when everything just goes wrong and you're just feeling sorry for yourself. You want to crawl into a corner and die. And what's even worse is that I don't have any booze at home, so I can't even drown my sorrows. So today we're going to talk about something that hopefully will help somebody out, because this is a user request video, and those are great because hopefully I can nail this one and help that subscriber video to help a subscriber out with a question. So the question was, this subscriber is a junior and he's starting his first junior position, and he asked the very broad question, Fredrik, how can I start preparing myself to climb the corporate ladder and participate in projects and team events and so forth? Basically, how do I manage my career as from a junior up to the point of wherever I want to go? Now, as you can imagine, this is a massive question, but I think that I've been around for long enough to be able to give you a little bit of insight on this one. So let's get into it. Now, in my personal opinion, and from my personal experiences, there are three things that matter for a software developer when it comes to, well, this is actually, I think, fairly true for most people, almost regardless. Like, being able to climb the corporate ladder, it really, in my personal opinion, comes down to three things. Might be different a little bit different for other professions, but for us programmers, the first and foremost thing that you need to be able to provide to your company in order to start moving up the ladder is dependability. Number one, as a junior, you are going to have to face the fact that you do not have, most likely, the necessary skills, not just the technical skills, but also the social skills to be dependable. What do I mean by dependable? Well, you see, the harsh truth is that no matter how much you want to be the best, no matter how much you work overtime, all of this stuff means absolutely nothing unless you can do the job that you are hired to do well. That's number one. So as a junior developer, your first and foremost focus should be to learn the skills and be structured enough to learn a way of working so that you consistently produce good results. Because that is why you are hired. If you fuck up, you shouldn't be afraid to make mistakes. But remember that there's always a benefit-cost ratio, and there's a balance to things. If you're fucking up all the time and you're never learning or improving, that's going to be fairly bad for your career. It's okay, but this is the reality of the world, guys. You are not hired because you're a nice person. You are hired foremost because you have skills that are desirable. So you need to have a structured way of working, and you need to have the technical skills to be dependable. Your boss needs to be able to trust you. That's more important than anything else, at least in the beginning. Once you have, and this usually takes a little while, I can tell you right now, you can completely forget about becoming a manager of any type of significance within your first few years of starting to work as a junior. It's going to take a little while to get the skills that you need in order to be dependable. But once you have a few years under your belt, I'm not talking a lot, you can become a manager quicker than you can imagine, if that's your goal, of course. Because climbing the ladder can mean many things, but it starts out with being dependable. Number two, which is the thing that you should ideally work on these two in parallel, and that is that you need to have the social skills in order to, or rather the social graces, in order to move around in the environment that you find yourself in. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean that, I'll give you an example. My absolute favorite coworker of all time has he's a master of code. He is by far and large the best programmer I've ever talked to. But he's been a programmer for most of his career. He's never really been in a manager type of position. And that has to do, in my personal opinion, he's been managed by much younger people with a lot less experience. And that has, from my perspective, to do with the fact that although he is a genius, dependable super coder, he's a great guy. It's just that he doesn't have the social skills to move around in the office politics world. And guys, office politics it doesn't matter if you love it or if you hate it. The fact of the matter is that it is a fact of the industry. If you want to be a manager, you cannot be an extreme introvert type of person who has no ability to lead or ability to work in a group or anything like that. You have to fit in socially. And depending on what type of person, like when we were talking about moving up the career ladder, if you want to just be paid more as a software developer, you don't have to focus so much on social skills. I think you should, but it's not as important. But if you want to be a tech lead or something like that, you're going to have to learn how to talk to people, and you're going to have to get good at it. Ideally, I'm not saying that that's a hard rule or anything like that, but I can tell you that social skills do matter a lot. And even the funny part is that when it matters the most is actually when you're applying for the job. If you come into a company and you're applying for a management type of position or a higher position than the basic programmer, because remember, you do have to have social skills even as just a regular old Joe programmer like myself. Those social skills are still important, but they get even more important once you want to move up the ladder, because the higher up you move, the more power you have, the more influence you have, the more risk you present to the company. And that makes sense, right? If you have, an entire company can get crippled by a bad manager. I've seen it happen many, many times where people in very, very high up positions are completely fucking over the entire company because and there's really no way to stop it, because they're like, nobody can challenge them. There's no one above them, and whoever is above them have no insight into the company anyway, so they don't know that all of this is going on. So bad managers are high risk for companies. That's why you have to be able to sell the idea that you are the sort of person that is, number one, dependable, number two, that you have the social graces and the charisma and all of that stuff. And guys, in order to work on that, I would say that you have to, that's a very, very broad topic. The two most solid tips I can give you is that depending on your age has a bit to do with this, because your personal charisma and your social skills will develop over time. You will mature and you will be perceived as more of a grown-up, if you will, depending on how old you are, of course. And you can kind of, like, salespeople know this better than anybody else. If you want some really good tips on being charismatic and being good with people, talk to the sales department. Talk to your friends who are sales representatives and so forth, or account managers, project managers. Their entire life, their entire paycheck is based on their ability to move about in the social ecosystem. So they are a great source of tips and tricks if you want to learn how to do public speaking or how to behave in a meeting room and so forth and so forth. But apart from that, I will say that having the personal security to be comfortable in your own skin is number one. If you are truly comfortable in yourself and you share yourself with the people around you, that will shine through, because even, like, most people are very insecure. They are. And if you are the sort of person that's just 100% secure in your own skin, it will shine through, trust me. And if you want to practice getting comfortable, just being yourself, start a YouTube channel and start talking about some weird stuff start talking weirdly to your phone and on the open street where people, like, every single person looks at you as you're like some freak because you're monologuing with yourself. Because when you get comfortable being able to do that, and it doesn't even like affect you, then you're going in the right direction. Number 3, and lastly, this is the thing. Unfortunately, the thing is, guys, if you want to start like really progressing your career, you need all 3 of these. You can't skip one. Well, some of the, depending on your situation, they are more or less important, but they all factor in. And the last one is you have to have a business mind. You have to have a business-oriented way of thinking. You have to take initiative in the area where it's relevant. The most successful programmers I've ever seen, they are not necessarily the best coders or the life of the party all the time, but they have enough of those 2 things, and they have one key thing. They know exactly how to impress the people who are above them. In other words, they know what to build at what time and how to sell it and market it to their boss, because that's how you get promoted, guys. You get promoted by being dependable, being social, having social graces, and proving to your to your boss or the company's owner, CEO, whatever, that the decisions that you make are making money for the company. My favorite example of this is from my days at Ticketmaster. This guy is a genius. He used to be a sales representative. And he became a programmer. He built a product which became such a massive success at the right time. Because I'm not going to go into too much on details exactly what it was, but he built the exact right thing at the right time, and you have no idea how fast that's moved him up the ladder. And I mean, the thing is, in theory, anybody could have built it, but nobody did. He did, with some help, of course, but that's the thing. He took the right initiative at the right time. Now, there are tons of developers at my previous job that, you know, they're taking initiatives in all kinds of directions, but it's not the right initiative. Because if you are, trust me, nobody's going to promote you if you refactor some legacy code. That's not what they're looking. That's not what's going to grab your boss's attention. Your boss's attention is going to be grabbed if you build something that they can appreciate and that they can realize is going to, I say, a new feature. If you come up with a great idea for a new feature and that feature starts to actually get some traction and is starting to earn the company money, that's going to be great. But remember, you need the other 3 things as well. Because if you just get a really good idea and you have, like, you're super junior and you're not dependable, etc., then you're just going to give them a great idea, but you're not going to be able to use that leverage in order to get to get further up the ladder. So, to summarize, if you are trying to progress up the career ladder, number 1, be good at what you do. You have to be dependable. That's number 1. Number 2, you have to have enough social graces to be able to move around and talk to people and do all these things that are required in order to at least communicate effectively with people. Number 3, you need to be the sort of person who has a business-oriented mindset. You need to look at the whole project, the whole product, and what's good for the business, and take the right initiative at the right time. Those are the 3 main things that you should consider if you want to progress your career from junior up to management and so forth and so forth. And yeah, those 3 things have been working out very well for myself and for basically all the people that I know that are in higher up the corporate ladder. Have a great day.